There are over 264 million dairy cows worldwide, producing nearly 600 tons of milk every year. These beautiful animals think, feel, love, communicate, and play, much like the pets that we have come to live with and love. Yet we continue to exploit them for a product that's unnecessary through a process that's cruel and violent. These animals speak a different language, but their voices deserve to be heard. This is The Truth About Dairy, Part 1. Propaganda. The dairy industry has been trying to get you to drink milk your entire life, and that makes sense, because that's what they're selling. But when I found out about the darker side of dairy in regards to health risks and unethical production, I wondered why the industry continued to grow and why milk and cheese are constantly shoved down our throats. I grew up seeing ads from my favorite actors and athletes sporting that iconic milk mustache. I was raised believing in the idea that I needed dairy to be healthy. A propaganda machine for dairy is a big one, and I believe it's important to know how it came about in the first place. Because the more you know, the better informed decisions you can make. From the early 20th century all the way through the 1980s, educational films were created by the industry to help solidify dairy as a staple in the standard American diet. Films like Eat for Health pushed the idea that dairy was necessary for optimal health, including giving growing children strong bones and teeth. However, these films were rife with misinformation, like getting vitamin D naturally from milk, when the truth is that milk is a hormone that the dairy industry fortifies into the milk. It's not naturally occurring.
Milk is about the most perfect food there is. A glassful at every meal is good for you, and with one more, that makes a quart a day. Vitamin D milk helps build strong bones and teeth. And Ralph has decided that it must be lots of milk which has given Linda such a bright smile.
Now, you can't open a magazine, drive down the expressway, or watch a show without seeing at least one ad for dairy. The messaging is almost hypnotic, and it's hard to tune out. Why is so much money put into making sure that you drink milk and eat cheese? The truth is that the dairy industry was really small before World War I. But during the war, the government started a dairy initiative to increase milk production so canned and powdered milk could be sent to soldiers overseas. This helped prevent malnutrition in the tough conditions of the trenches. Farms and factories adjusted their production to be suitable for dairy during this time. Once the war was over, however, there was a surplus of milk that the soldiers no longer needed. So much time and money was spent on producing dairy that the government decided, instead of halting production, they would just convince people to drink more milk. School programs began recommending 4 glasses of milk a day, and the National School Lunch Program required a glass of whole milk per meal. There was still a surplus of milk in the 1940s and 50s, so the US government would buy the surpluses and disperse them to military, schools, and other countries, but a huge amount was unused and stored. By the 1980s, the government was spending up to $2 billion a year buying surplus dairy. Ronald Reagan wanted to cut down on government spending, so he stopped the buying program outright. Dairy producers were outraged and decided to push legislation to create a dairy checkoff program. The dairy checkoff is a program where farmers pay a fee and the government approves ad campaigns targeted at the public to get them to buy more dairy. You see the checkoff program when you see an ad for more cheese on a burger or pizza, a milk mustache, or a yogurt commercial. Because of this, dairy and politics are forever intertwined, like two heads of a beast. This level of advertising is considered propaganda, in my opinion, because there are victims involved. To learn more about them, stay tuned for The Truth About Dairy Part 2, Exploitation. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Until next time, keep it green, and I'll see you in the next video.